5 years ago, Paolo was 300 pounds. 5 years ago, Paolo was 300 pounds, and then he started losing weight. And shed 120 pounds. Now look, he still has to shed a few more, but he's on his way. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Are you ready? Who's the best personal trainer for Randy? The monster! Or a little bit overweight Paolo. Who do you think is the best personal trainer? Paolo, you're so wise. Now, actually, the right answer is it depends on Randy. Okay? It depends on Randy. But most likely, it will be Paolo. Ask me why. Because it's relationships that change a person. And the more bonding, and the more hope, and the more trust. Are you getting me? So when Randy talks to the monster, they'll sit down, and all the monster will say is, I do 600 push-ups every day. And I do 600 pull-ups every day. And all he talks about is bodybuilding. He talks about exercise. You think they'll have a good relationship? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm sure he'll have a great relationship with a regular guy named Paolo, because they move in the same world and they can talk about movies, they can talk about musical scores, they'll talk about acting. Are you listening to me? But the most important factor why Paolo will be the best personal trainer for Randy is because he had 300 pounds. He was 300 pounds. He was exactly, and you know what? Randy will be saying this. Are you listening? If he can do it, I can do it. Amen? It's so important for you to be able to say that. If he can do it, I can do it. It's relationships. It's not the theories. It's not the methods. It's not the process, not the program, not how intelligent you are. It's the relationship of trust and hope that makes people change. Do you want to change? Yes. Do you want to be better? Yes. Do you want to grow up? Yes. Choose your relationships and pick up the best habits you can from that relationship. I'll give you the third point. The third point of learning habits in relationships is to actually teach the habits. Number 1, relationship of hope. Number 2, modeling the habits. And number 3, actually teaching the habits. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, we read that. Parents, repeat them. Repeat them to your children. When they're at home, when they're resting, when they're away, when you're in the market, when they're playing, repeat them. Teach. And there are 3 ways to teach. At least the 3 things I'd like to share with you now. Number 1 is peer feedbacks. Parents, tell me if I'm right. Sometimes you tell your kid, you look ugly with your clothes. You really do. You need to change it. And the kid says, no, I look fine. And then when he goes to school, a friend says, you know what? Baduy mo. What does the kid say? Really? Peers are important. And you need to choose your peers. What if, my son loves to read, right? You know what? I thank God that his friends, most of them, love to read. What if my son had friends and all of them would say, nerd, 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 nerd? So what you need to do are peers. That's why I'm encouraging you to join a small group, to have peers who want to love God, who want to pray, who want to serve the Lord, right? Imagine if you're, I shared this before, I'll share it to you again. You have a little problem with your wife, a little conflict, you're going through some struggles with your marriage. It'll be so good to have a group of married people around you who have great marriages, right? Imagine if all your friends are separated and divorced, all of them. And so you go to someone and say, bro, I really have a problem with my marriage. Hiwalayan mo. Separate with that wife. I've been separated 4 times. I'm okay, So, you got me? Peers are important. Join a small group Join a small group where you can pray together, be together. And you know what? Your small group is important. The small group leader is important because he's someone like you. He's like Randy and Paolo. They're not, it's not Randy and the monster, you know? It's Randy and Paolo. You and your small group leader, you're just alike. And you can help each other grow in the Lord. Number 2, passion. If you're going to teach, you've got to have passion. Say that word, passion. I'm going to give you something big right now. Are you ready for this? Teaching is not the transference of facts. Teaching is the transference of emotion. That's big. If you want to teach your children, if you want to teach anyone, it's not just a transference of this is. No, it's a transference of heart to heart. You've got to have a passion for that subject to be able to share it. Amen? It's very important. And number 3, what's number 3? You've got to learn to teach others. I'll say this again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The best way to learn is to teach. And that's why, if I were you, I'd volunteer to be a small group leader. Ask me why. Because if you're a small group leader, whatever I speak about, you will have to review it and share it to your small group one more time. And so you're going to learn so much more. I'm going to say it again. The best way to learn is to teach. Amen? My son, he teaches on TV every Saturday. Guess what? He's learning. When he speaks about the Bible and a Bible story, he learns so much more because he's the one teaching. Amen? I'd like to end my talk with a story. You know, I have a financial mentor. His name is Edward Lee. And Edward Lee is someone who I deeply, deeply respect. He's an incredible guy, and he's taught me so much. He's the CEO of many companies and very, very successful. He comes to the feast. You can see him there. He'd never attended church before, okay? But he's here, and you know, it's a great relationship because I'm a missionary and he's a billionaire, and because of our relationship, he has come deeper into his relationship with God. And for the first time, he's joining church. And for the first time, he's you know, listening and praying and no, he was always praying before, but never in church. But now, so he's got a little missionary in him now. I've got a little billionaire in me now. You know, just with that relationship. But ask me, why is Edward so inspiring? Ask me. You know why? Number 1, he's a college dropout. He never finished college. He was, in fact, kicked out from college. From grade school to high school, he was a very poor student. The only reason why he was not failing was because his mother was a teacher in the school. And then when he was in college, he would rather play billiards and bowling instead of studying. And finally, he was kicked out. And yet, he made it, right? He became very successful. Guess what? If he can do it, I can do it. It would have been different if Edward told me I graduated with an MBA from Wharton, a PhD from Harvard University. None. But he made it. And if he can do it, I can do it. Amen? You got what I'm saying? Yes. And so what do you need? I'll tell you something. I can predict your future if you tell me who your mentors are. I can. So you've got to search for those mentors. You've got to search for your peers. You've got to select and create the environment that you need in order to grow and reach where you want to go. Where do you want to go? Look for people who are already there and learn from them. I'm going to say it again. Tell me who your mentors are, and I can predict your future. Because it is in relationships that you will learn your habits.